I'm going to call the regular meeting of the October 18th, 2021, the Roberts County Commission to order. Ask everybody to please mute your cell phones. I think we still got court going on across the hall, so please don't get loud for that. Yeah. We're going to do roll call. Commissioners, if you will. Punch in if you're here. I hear them turning them off. Okay, is that it? Got 19 present, 6. That can't be right.
5.
Yeah.
No.
It says 6. You count me absent?
No, it is 6.
18
You're present.
present.
Yeah, I'm present, but okay, we got 19 here and 5 absent. I declare we do have a quorum. Okay. The chair recognizes Commissioner DeLong for our invocation, followed by the pledge to the flag. Please stand.
Lord Jesus, we thank you for the privilege to come here to take care of this business for your county. Lord, give us the courage and the wisdom to always do what's right and to put you first. Lord, we're thankful for the country that we live in. Lord, I appreciate the blessings that you've put upon this county. Lord, I pray that you keep your hand upon our law enforcement, our first responders, all them that are out there serving. Lord Jesus, I pray that you bless them. Be with us tonight to make good decisions, to always do what's right. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Commissioner DeLong. Okay, Commissioner, in your package is the minutes from previous meeting. I'll entertain a motion to approve. Got a motion by Couts. Got a second by Gray. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay, the minutes are filed. Thank you. Okay, communications from the county mayor. First, I'd like to bring up Judge Goodman. From what I'm here today, he's improved quite a bit. He had a pretty rough weekend. If you hadn't heard, but it was touch and go for a while, but I hear he's in good spirits and he's feeling better. But I think he's going to be in hospital for a little while, it sounds like. And Bubba Doris is not here tonight. Bubba was in a wreck a couple weeks ago. I understand may have to have back surgery. But him and his wife's doing all right. Commissioner Glover, any update on your wife? Your wife doing all right, Burton? Good, good. She was in an accident too. Tell her we're thinking about her. All right. Look at here. There's a lot going on. The holidays coming up. On the website of the chamber, if you look, there's turkey shoots, stuff, fall festivals. And if you ain't got something to do in this county, you're not looking, because it's a page full of that stuff. And I've got something I'm mighty proud of. For the 3rd year in a row, Roberts County had 0 findings on their audit. And I don't think there's many counties can say that. So I want to thank all the department heads, the sheriff, education, Dr. Causey and them, budget committee and you commissioners for 0 findings. That's, last year I think there was only 12 counties that could say that, but I don't think there's anybody that can say it 3 years in a row. And that's just a testament to the finance department, Judy and them, for all the work they do. Chad, will you tell everybody what this month is?
It is Security Awareness Month.
What are we securing about?
We're securing the county networks,
The computers and all?
computers, servers, everything. I've been doing weekly tests and training for all the employees of the county, and everybody's doing really good. It's getting my fish testing prone percentage down, so I'm happy about that. Where the whole county is about a 1.2, and for this kind of organization, the average is 3.2.
Great, great. If you, this is a big deal. When somebody hacks in, it costs this county money. And so watch what you're pushing, what buttons you're pushing, and take these tests. They're easy. What, I made 100, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
That's what they tell.
I
Yeah,
was really proud.
yeah, I'm proud too. Yeah. Okay, that's all communications I got. Does anybody got anything they want to add? If not, we'll move to the reports. Starting with animal control. Any questions or comments? Trustees report. Any questions or comments? Highway Department, any questions or comments? Let me brag on the Highway Department. They've done some paving around the county, and I'll put them up against anybody in the state. In fact, I'll put them up against TDOT. They do a great job. All right, Fire Committee, any questions or comments? EMA, any questions or comments? Veteran Service Officer, any questions or comments? EMS, any questions or comments? Planning Commission, any questions or comments? Solid Waste, any questions or comments? And last, the Finance Office, any questions or comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to accept the reports.
I move reports to accept in order file.
Okay, I got a motion by Haley and a second by Stubblefield. If you're in favor of that, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? The ayes have it. Reports are filed too. Good job. We have no elections and appointments tonight, so we'll move straight into our public hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, Robeson County, this is a time that you'll have a chance to speak. You become part of the county commission. And as Mr. Doug reads out each zoning issue, you come forward, state your name, where you live. Madam Clerk's going to give you 3 minutes to speak, and then we'll move on. Mr. Doug Van.
The first request tonight is Roy Smith requesting to rezone 15.09 acres from AG2 to RP80 located on US Highway 31W. It's the second voting district. Planning Commission by a vote of 7-0 ask for your approval.
Is anyone here to speak on this zoning issue?
Yes.
Okay, step up right here, and y'all might, whoever else wants to speak, get behind that gentleman, please. Come on forward. If there's a microphone, state your name and address, sir.
Hi there, David Judy. I live on 1512 Hidden Meadow Drive in the Quail Ridge subdivision. My concern for this is we've already have a lot of water that's coming in off the property behind us, which is going to be the residential part of the property that we're speaking of from the commercial part. We're concerned about water coming in onto our property. If anything has changed back there, any dozing, any excavation, we could potentially have a lot more water coming on top of us. So we just want to get on record that is done, that we could be affected by that. And we're also concerned about the commercial aspect, which could also, point water in our direction. And then there's the other issues we have with, there's commercial property already down there that's causing issues on down the line. And I believe some other gentlemen are going to speak about the commercial information. So.
Okay, thank you. What'd you say your name was again?
David Judy.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Mayor, before I speak, I'm Jim Milam from the White House, Cottontown area. Before I speak, is there a separate agenda item for the 2 acres commercial that's adjacent to
Yes,
the
sir.
property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, that's a different issue. We'll be speaking about that one as well.
Okay.
This one, I have 2 letters from neighbors who couldn't be here tonight. But rather than read these letters right now, what I'd like to tell the commissioners is that this is a situation that abuts 31W. And what has created the situation is that we live in a subdivision. We have a dead end on our street, these folks do. And one side of the street rises up to high ground, and that particular area behind us has been occupied by a farm. which is now being sold off. As you get up to 31W, the topography changes, and the 2 acres that are asked to be zoned commercial have some very specific problems that we'll address later. The residential part, that has to do with, I think, just the changing of the nature of the neighborhood, that instead of being fields and woods, we're talking about houses going back there, and the drainage situation that would be created because of the fact that specifically my house is right against the creek. We have, what happens is Quail Ridge takes its name from the ridge up at the top, and our street drops off the ridge with a very steep decline and then a curve before it levels out into a little dale or a little valley area. And through this, at the bottom of the hill, there's a ditch. Oh, it's not a ditch, it's a creek. But what has happened over the years is that what used to be a continuously running creek at a very manageable small level has now turned into a situation where it's either no water with no flow, or it's a gusher because of development that has happened on 31W. And so the concern is this is the only drainage out of our subdivision. If you increase the amount of water coming into that creek, we're gonna be seeing more and more problems where the water comes over the road. And some of these folks have, they have photographic evidence of that, but I'll just tell you, I've cleaned up a lot of debris off that street where the water has washed it over the road. We don't call the county, we take care of it ourselves, but that has happened in the past. We see this as a situation that's going to increase the problem. Now, Mr. Michael Duncan, who lives at the end of the subdivision closest to 31W, has left a letter, and I'll read.
Mylan, you wrapping up?
Okay. Well, yes, sir.
Yes.
I respect the commission's time. Just instead of reading his letter, I'll just tell you, Mr. Duncan has hired contractors and spent thousands of dollars to correct drainage problems along his backyard, which butts up against land that faces 31W. And he has also attached here a plat of the property where he has marked where he's had to spend money to make corrections to the water flow. And so what we're trying to make or help the commission understand is that we are facing a situation where we're going to be looking at increased costs due to increased water flow that will occur when you take this land, which is currently fields and woods, and then put concrete and buildings on it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Okay, sir, state your name and address.
My name is Bruno Pace. I live at 1505 Hidden Meadow Drive. I happen to have 180 feet of my property that's on both sides of the creek. My property crosses the creek. I did not know that the people were building back there. My wife was very sick the last 2 years. She died in February. So I was real busy at Vanderbilt and all with her. I wasn't paying attention what was going on behind me when they built that building. In fact, they built their lake 5 foot over on my property. And I didn't do anything about it yet, but it is 5 feet over on my property. And they make noise at night. They're very noisy over there. So we don't want any more commercial business next to our residential section, especially industrial and commercial like that, where they're ripping up cars and engines and stuff and making noise late at night, or even in the daytime. My wife would try to sleep in the daytime and they would have it ribbed up and it would wake her up. And Jim Mylan is right next door to me, and that creek, when it floods by his house, it floods by my house the same. My house and his house are the same plane to the creek. And I have a storage building back there, the big one, and it has gotten right up within a foot of that storage building before. I don't want any more water situation. And if that happens, then I'm going to take some kind of action to remedy it because, I don't know what the legalities are of somebody building 5 feet over on my property, but I bet somebody can figure it out. And we don't want it. We've been a quiet neighborhood. Everybody's been fine like it was. There was one little commercial building there that didn't ever make any noise. They never did anything that was a hassle or added to the property of creating the creek. And when they put their drainage ditch in, drainage pond over there, they just created a bigger problem. Because now, if they leave water in the pond, we're going to have a mosquito problem. And if they drain it all out at once, then we have a wider area that drains into the pond than what we used to. So we don't need any more hassle like that. Thank you.
Thank you,
I
Mr.
have
Pace.
one question. I've got one question for you. But you're specifically talking about commercial property that already exists there.
Yeah, it was built there without my knowledge.
I understand.
I never knew about no meeting or anything to approve it. And the next thing I know, after I'm dealing with my wife for 8 months, I had no idea they were even doing something like that. Till one day I looked out there, it borders my property.
Yeah.
And I go, who in the heck built this?
But that property is not the property we're talking about.
No, I know that, but the property we're talking about would be right on the north side of that. It will add to the problem of the creek. We already got enough problem with the creek as it is, and we don't need to add to the problem. And the commercial area up residential, I'll let some others address that live on that side of the street. That I live on the south side of the street, and Hidden Meadow Drive, when you turn right, James Mylan's property is right there. Mine's the rest of the property till you get to where that commercial building
Thank
is.
you very much.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Pace.
The other guy is right there, and his property, he had to take extensive steps to keep the water from flooding into his house. So, thank you.
Okay, sir.
My name is Eric Skaggs. I live at 1516 Hidden Meadow Drive. And I just want to emphasize what Mr. Glenn, Mr. Judy, and Mr. Millman has just spoken about because it's very important to us. The house that I live in and my property it attaches to this property that's in question where these houses or wherever it's going to go. And I do get runoff, and I do have erosion. And roots of my trees that tower way over my house are more exposed now than they were 2 years ago, a year ago, and so on and so forth. So I'm getting concerned about that. But more importantly, Mr. Judy, back of his yard right now is like a flood. When it comes through, it's like a river. His property adjoins to mine. And right where my driveway is, you can see the water coming from the backside of his home, right beside of our property where they join, and it floods into the road. And then my drainage floods out. And the thing that Mr. Millman said, down by his home is the creek that runs into Honey Run Creek. It's a feeder. And there's a good sized covered pipe, but it overflows. It floods. There's debris. There's been times that I've had to stop and wait till the waters would subside before I could cross, and I drive a four-wheel drive vehicle because I didn't feel safe. And how many other folks that live on the other side of that creek have that same concern? So all we're asking is to take some consideration. If something needs to be built there, then so be it. But proper provisions need to be made to ensure that our homes aren't destroyed by water. Thank you all very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, Mr. Doug.
Next request, Mr. Leonard Knight, He's requesting to rezone 4.765 acres from AG2 to RP80 on Cave Springs Road. It's in the 6th voting district. Again, by a vote of 7-0, the Planning Commission asks for your approval.
Is anyone here to speak on that zoning issue? Seeing none, okay, Mr. Doug.
The next request is Mr. Russell Garrett. He's asking to rezone 16.818 acres from AG2 to RP80 on Tennessee Highway 25 or Lakeview Road. That is in the 8th voting district. Again, by a vote of 7-0, the Planning Commission asks for your approval.
Is anyone here to speak on that zoning issue? Okay, Mr. Doug.
The fourth request is Mr. Roger Anderson. He's requesting to rezone 2.21 acres from AG2 to RP80 on Bottom Chapel Road. First voting district, again by a vote of 7-0, the Planning Commission asks for your approval.
Is anyone here to speak on that zoning issue? Okay, Mr. Doug.
Mr. Donald Barney is requesting to rezone 2.04 acres from AG2 to R40. Property is located on Fluellen Road, and by a vote of 7-0, the Planning Commission asks for your approval.
Is anyone here to speak on that issue? Okay, Mr. Doug.
The final request is Mr. Roy E. Smith. He's requesting to rezone 2.51 acres from AG2 to C1. Property is located on US 31W, 2nd voting district. Again, by a vote of 7-0, the Planning Commission asks for your approval.
Is there anyone here to speak on that issue? Okay, if you'll come line up. Remind you that we got 3 minutes, and state your name and address.
My name is David Brown, and first of all, thank you for your time. In this zoning issue, what I brought is some actual photos that I'd like to share with the committee tonight. Basically, what they are is some of the ground that is looking to be changed, and I don't know how to hand these out or whom.
Here, I'll hand them out.
Yeah, just hand them to the county commission. They can pass it around. You may not get them back, but
That's all right, I can make more. This first picture, so you know, is the ground that you're looking to rezone. As you can see how low it is compared to Highway 31W, you can see how the state or county, I would assume, had to build a bunch of rocks into that area. So in turn, we wouldn't have basically erosion from 31W eroding into this property. The second picture is also the same area, just trying to show you how low that ground is. If you rezone that, there's only one thing that can happen. Additional water will flow down. Thank you. This is another photo taken off of 31W, again showing you how low that new land will be should the zoning commission approve it. And the last picture I think is the most interesting one. The first one is a picture of Cantrell Drive before it rained. As you can see, it's dry and there's no problem as far as runoff in any way. The second picture is what it looks like when it rains. You can see all the flooding that's occurred from the creek that is running off. The flooding is very extensive, as I'm sure this lady will agree with. The problem we have is we've actually seen a hot water heater flow down that little creek. Right now there's a big trash container that's getting ready to flow down that creek again. Again, the flooding is very extensive, and the concern we have is if that ground is disturbed any further, then again we'll have more flooding issues as far as that. But again, the road that is crossing is a county road. It's called Cantrell. It flows into the road called Hidden Meadow, and then in turn, you cannot pass that road with that type of water on it because it would be extremely dangerous. As another gentleman spoke earlier, he has a 4-wheel drive vehicle, and he was afraid to drive through it because that water is that deep. Again, I would like to thank you for your time, and please look forward to your consideration of what we're proposing.
thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Milam?
Thank you, Mayor Vogel. And ladies and gentlemen, as I should have said, I'm Jim Milam. My address is 1511 Hidden Meadow Drive, but I'm going to take this time to read a letter. Michael Duncan lives at 1500 Hidden Meadow Drive. His property abuts what's proposed to be zoned commercial 2. I'm just going to read this quickly. I reside in Robertson County at 1500 Hidden Meadow Drive in Quail Ridge subdivision in Cottontown, where my wife and I, Marcia Bolton Duncan, have lived for 29 years. Due to prior commitment, I was unable to attend this meeting tonight. My neighbor, David Brown, agreed to present my letter to you. The property at 4033 Highway 31W North is owned by Roy Smith, who's allegedly planning to develop the land in the near future. I understand it will probably consist of 3 to 5 houses and remaining 2.5 acres for commercial use, possibly storage units. Due to this property being at a higher elevation, my neighbors and I are concerned that if the land is developed, it will affect several homes and properties along the tributary that feeds Honey Run Creek. In addition to the problem of flooding and erosion, it would also contribute to light pollution. To more fully understand the potential problem, I'm providing some history that explains an existing situation has affected my property. Since 2015, I've dealt with flooding and erosion from the land connected to mine when the business east of me changed from being an automotive repair shop to an electric company. They cleared the land and filled in the creek bed running through their property. Then shortly after that, my bank and landscaping collapsed into the creek besides my driveway beside my house. The following year in 2016, I hired a company to construct a 10-foot high wall, a concrete retaining wall 16 feet long, and a curtain drain to repair the damage. In 2017, I hired another contractor to bulldoze and build trench swale along the backyard that connects to the electric company to slow and direct the water back to the creek. And in 2018, another contractor bulldozed and dug a trench swale along the northern part of my property from the cul-de-sac where my house stands to the back toward Highway 31W to prevent water from running under my house. Now, he's attached a copy of the property plat and the thumb drive. He says he's grateful for the opportunity to share his concerns and hopeful for a possible resolution in the best interest of the neighborhood. Another letter, his neighbor, Joe Castelbuono, and Joe's wife, Charlie Castelbuono, and their 2 children, they are both TBI agents. He could not be here. He says, I apologize, I could not be here tonight. Please do not let the fact that I'm not here be an indictment of my care for this issue. I'm currently on call for work and can't be further than 20 minutes from my job to respond to any criminal matters. I would like to protest the idea of zoning another commercial property being adjacent to our neighborhood and butting up to the back line of my property. This is a residential community. Currently, there's an automotive facility on the other side of the Duncan property where we hear loud car engines revving at night, as well as some very bright lights that shine straight ahead on my property and Duncan's that has not been rectified after numerous complaints. I fear this will be an ongoing issue when another commercial property is placed behind us, possibly a storage facility where lights to the facility are on throughout the night. There are multiple examples of this on Highway 31. I understand the concept of a landscaping buffer, but it will take a decade before the trees are big enough to actually shield the light. A second concern, which is just as major, is water flow. The property is at a slightly higher elevation than my property and the Duncans. During heavy rains, rivers will run through my property and flow into the Duncans' property, eroding some of the land. With the absence of greenery.
Mr. Milan, you wrapping up?
Yes, sir. Okay. I'm halfway through Mr. Castelbuono's letter. This is a TBI agent who couldn't be here. I'm just going to ask you folks, go look at that highway. There's a 20-foot drop between the shoulder of the road and the land below. If there's no guardrail there, if anybody runs off that road, they're going to roll their vehicle several times, and depending on how fast they're going, they're going to be killed. This is not a suitable site for a commercial building. And anybody that looks at it will see that immediately. I ask you to do that.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, next.
My name is Elizabeth Brown. I live at 1508 Hidden Meadow Drive, and I'm going to read the rest of Joe Castelbuono's letter. He lives next door to us, and the majority of the commercial property will abut next to his property. I think it's like 190 feet. So, a second concern, and just as major, is water flow. The property is at a slightly higher elevation to my property and the Duncans. During heavy rains, rivers will run through my property and flow into the Duncans' property, eroding some of the land. With the absence of greenery, with a concrete facility present, there is nowhere for the land to go but down towards us. A retaining bed pond will not completely solve this problem. There is nowhere for the water to be absorbed. It will just flow toward us, not to mention creating a mosquito hotbed as well. Over the last couple of years, myself and the Duncans have spent thousands of dollars to shield artificial light, block the traffic noise coming from Highway 31, and divert the water flow towards our house, all because of a decision the county has made or hasn't made. We have used our own money to divert water through artificial means with drain lines and concrete walls, and natural means with eventually large trees. I understand that the city of White House cotton is booming. I know you are very busy with city matters. I ask the committee board, who are responsible for the citizens and their best interests, to take our best interests in mind and not allow another commercial property to be built adjacent to our residential community. I would be remiss if I did not attempt to provide a solution. If we could keep that lot similar to the adjacent lots, 2/3 of an acre property for a single-family home, my family is interested in purchasing the lot at a reasonable, comparable price so that Grandma and Grandpa could build a house and live closer to their grandkids. Please consider this alternative. Thank you for your time. Signed, Joe Castelbuono. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Is this the proper time to speak?
Yes, you have the right to speak, yeah.
My name is Roy Smith. Mr. Millman knows me as Eddie Smith. This has been my family's property since 1979. We lost both of the people that were living there due to COVID in the past year. What we have decided to do is to divide it up, and there will be at least 2 of the family members that will be building houses on that property. And if you look at the plats, they average out to a little over 3 acres per lot. So if anybody has a subdivision problem, I should with them. But anyways, also contradicting information that's come about is, yes, the lot is low to the ground. So, and there also is no creek on my property or touching my property. So whatever creek problem is going on has nothing to do with us. So our property is actually lower, as was discussed. So the water is not going to leave my property and go to somebody else's property. If anything, I'd have a flooding issue, which we don't. There is a culvert on 31W that comes out, but that is not attached to my property. And 2 of the gentlemen here have contacted me wanting to buy the property, which up until tonight I was in agreement with. And then 2 other properties that are on there have used our family farm as their personal junkyard over the years, which I've been cleaning up. So the 2 properties just due south, one has been mentioned. There's an electric company and it could be a new automotive place. There's 2 commercial properties already zoned commercial just south of us. There is a commercial property. It's in Sumner County on the other side of the road, but directly across from us, there is a large commercial property and business that runs there. And then there's a church there. So as far as rezoning the property, I mean, it's on 31W. It's a main thoroughfare for the community, and that are the businesses that are around the property that is around it. So I don't see an issue with rezoning that front part as we've requested.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Sir, you want to speak?
Yes, sir.
Okay. State your name again.
David Judy. Just a couple things. One of the issues with the road we failed to mention, when it is flooded and blocked, we had issues with the school buses being able to run down in the neighborhood. So that is a concern of some of the folks down there that have kids. And I did want to make sure that on record, there is a thumb drive that I gave to this gentleman that has a lot of images and videos of the property that we're talking about. And I do, as the residential part, we do have runoff that does come off of his property up there. So there's not a creek. You don't see one until it rains really hard. And then I have water that comes down through my backyard from that property. And I've got pictures of that if you would like to see any of those. Can bring you a couple pictures of it, okay? Give you an idea. This is the backyard. Which it wouldn't, you know, I don't think it's going to be an issue as long as if they do any excavating over there, it's just going the right direction, away from a property.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Are you going to speak again, sir?
Can I add one thing?
Yes, sir, come ahead.
Glenn Pace at 1505 Hidden Meadow Drive. The one thing I'd like to make aware to you, from the cemetery on the north side of White House, north, there is no commercial property all the way to Highway 25, except the two places that went in. The one's been there for a long, long time. The other one they let in that built next to my property. If they build any more commercial property on there, it's going to totally change the whole concept of that whole area. There's no reason to be building commercial property 2 miles away from White House. You want to build commercial property, go down to White House and build it. You know, we don't need commercial property in residential sections. It's on both sides of the road all the way. And then all of a sudden they want to start building commercial property right there. Nobody would like that if you've got a house in that situation.
Thank you, Mr. Pace. Mr. Doug, you done?
That's all I have.
Okay, at this time, I'll close the part of the public hearing of the county commission and bring it back to the commission. We're going to vote on these one at a time. I'll need a motion and a second for number one, which is Mr. Smith going from Ag 2 to RP 80. I'm waiting on it. I don't see none. I need a motion from someone.
I'm making.
I got a motion from Kevin Gray, a second from Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion?
Question.
Okay, question being called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. I got 10 for, 8 against. I declare that resolution fails. Okay, moving to number 2. Mr. Knight, going from Ag 2 to RP 80, 6th voting district. I need a motion. Got a motion from Commissioner Couch. Need a second. I got a second from Commissioner Hogan. Any discussion?
Question.
Question has been called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. I got 18 yeses, 0 noses. I declare that resolution passes. Okay, Russell Garrett, vote District 8. I need a motion. Got a motion by Wade, and a second by Stubblefield. Any discussion?
Question.
Question being called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. I got 18 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Okay, Mr. Rogers Anderson, 1st voting district, Ag 2 to RP 80. I need a motion.
I'll move.
What was that? Got a motion by Couch, second by Commissioner Haley. Any discussion?
Question.
Question being called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. What's happening?
Just 1 second.
Wait a minute, she's working on something.
Just leave it now, or if you're okay.
There we go.
There we go. If you're for it, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Okay, we've got 18 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Down to Mr. Barney. It don't say what voting district on my page, but it's Ag 2 to RP 80. What is it, Madam Clerk?
11.
Voting district 11. I need a motion.
I'm making.
Got a motion by Commissioner Gray, a second by Commissioner Jackson. Any?
Question.
All right, question has been called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. I got 18 for, 0 against. That resolution passes. Last, Mr. Smith, 2nd voting district, Ag 2 to C1. I need a motion. Got a motion by Jackson. Need a second. Got a second by Commissioner Hogan. Any discussion? Question has been called. If you're for that resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Got 7 for, 11 against. I declare that resolution fails. Okay, thank you, County Commissioners. All right. We'll move to our resolutions. Chair recognizes Commissioner Hoover.
Mayor, Madam Clerk.
These are new resolutions, Commissioners.
Yes, sir. Fellow Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I have resolution number 101-821-114. I so move. If I can get a second, we'll discuss.
A second by Commissioner Gray.
This is for the archives. This is a balanced budget amendment. This is $21,068 acid-free folders and new rolling shelving steel structure paid for by the archive fees.
Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. At 18 for, 0 against, I declare that resolution passes. Commissioner Hoover.
Resolution number 101-821-115. I so move. If I can get a second, we'll discuss.
Got a second by Commissioner Jackson.
This is for the Sheriff's Department employees being paid premium overtime in order to assist with the litter education and litter grant program. It's a balanced budget amendment.
Any discussion? Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. At 18 for, 0 against, I declare that resolution passes. Commissioner Hoover.
Resolution number 101-821-116. I so move. If I can get a second, we'll discuss.
Okay, I got a second by Commissioner Gray.
This is a resolution to rescind resolution number 111-813-099 as amended.
Okay, any discussion? The chair recognizes Commissioner Irvin Brown.
As I understand it, and we got a nice little handed letter out by Mr. Whitlow on this one, which is the type of bidding in the way that we'll be bidding projects in the future. I'm not sure, there are several on this commission that do not understand what this is about. But what this really is about is trying to forecast costs 2 to 3 years in advance, quite frankly, and doing bids with kind of tea leaves, quite frankly. I've spoken to the past budget chairmans, and one in particular, when I came on, Roger, felt like we lost around $10 million on building a school and also on the jail that we're using these projects. And as I've analyzed this, it was a very, very bad deal for the county. So speaking on behalf of the county and trying to entrust good money management, this is not a good money management technique, is to try to forecast prices, because anyone that's in the know, anybody that does any type of construction, they're going to build in what they think prices are going to go to. And in the last lives of these things, and I researched this one, there was, even though they had fixed supposedly hard bids, those hard bids went to organizations from the architectural firm that they also had an ownership interest. That actually happened on some of these. So I would, my concern and my voice in this is that if you really are for saving money for the county, you will not rescind this, because this will not save money for the county. And I will stake my reputation and my CPA license on it right here. This is one of the reasons I came and became a commissioner years ago, is this kind of stuff right here. Bad for the county. I'll just tell you that right now. It's bad for the county, and I'll rest my comments.
Do you have any documentation to back up that we overspent by $10 million?
I can go back and I can get Roger over here.
Well, I mean,
I'm happy to do that.
We spoke on the phone and you had mentioned that to me. I mean, I felt like if you were going to speak out against it in here, we'd have documentation to show us where the
documentation that we did.
No, I don't. But it's so it's hearsay either way.
It's not hearsay, because I went back and talked to him directly, which is what we do. You bring somebody in.
And you're saying that, so the way you're describing it, they're taking a dart and throwing out a dartboard and saying, we're going to build a school for that price. That's wrong. And I'm not saying, I'm not doing this just for Hewlett Spencer. I'm doing it for all the companies like Hewlett Spencer. But I'm saying they hard bid that probably to 10 different contractors. The only thing different is they're using their general contractor, which is Bell. Bell is the only one that don't bid out. Everybody else bids out. And the reason why is because the working relationship they've got with them.
Acknowledge that they don't bid out.
They don't bid out with their general contractor. They sure don't. And they will admit to it.
But, well, how are you going to price a contract 2 years in advance of building?
Don't they always do that? I mean,
No, they don't.
When we bid it out,
Usually you go to the architect makes the plans, that takes 6 months to a year to do. Once the plans are done, you hard bid to the exact specialties of the contract. That's not what's happening.
well, what about change orders in that? This is a guaranteed maximum. You got change orders in the others. So how can you guarantee that it's going to be what it comes in at? You can't.
You only change orders if you agree to them. If it's something that's outside the scope of what you've had your engineer do.
Well, from our engineer, that's the new way to do business. They come in, they lowball you with a low number, and then they just change order you to death.
Not if we are actually on top of it.
Well, and who's going to do that?
That's why we have management. That's why we hired an engineer. Why do we have an engineer?
That resolution.
If we're not going to monitor what we're bidding, why do we have an engineer?
This resolution does not say this is the only way we're going to do it. This just opens the door. It takes the handcuffs off. So we've got multiple options to do it, not just the one. The other commission tied our hands and said, you can only do it this way.
Yeah,
that's not right.
It's the best way.
Well, you and I argue about that because.
Hey, listen, contractors, that's what I do. I meet with them all the time. I meet with developers. I meet with all of these people. That's my business, okay? And I'm telling you, this is bad business. And that comes from my personal experience, advising contractors, seeing contractors bid the work, understanding the industry. That's what I do. So from my understanding, do you do that?
No, I don't.
Exactly.
I'm not in that business, no.
That's exactly right, but I am. That's what I do.
Right.
I have $100 million clients that do stuff like this, and I've got developers. That is what I do. This is a bad way to do business.
Well, all I can do is talk to engineers, our county engineer. He's on board with it.
So
our director of schools is fine with it.
Have you talked to any engineers that actually do this?
No, I mean,
I'm asking you.
No, I did not. Have you?
Anybody else?
Yes, I have them as clients.
Okay. Anybody else want to make a comment? Mr. Hogan?
Correct me if I'm wrong, if the options we have is at least 3 ways that we can bid this. It seems like the better way to do it. And when we hired our engineers, we didn't hire him to oversee a major project like that of building a school. He's the go-between between us and those that are watching that project. He's got his hands full doing everything else here in this county, and it's saved the county a tremendous amount of money by doing his job. We didn't hire him to do that. He's not equipped to do that.
Right.
We are not paying him enough money to do that. So I see no disadvantage of putting this out to 3 ways, 4 ways out there and give us the options to make the choices to save the county money.
I agree.
Anyone else? Commissioner Couch.
I was here when we voted to make it a hard bid, and at the time I thought it was the right thing to do. I don't love this letter that we got because it acts like that we're voting to give everything back to you and Spencer.
And we're
that letter, that's what it says.
That's my understanding.
The budget committee asked me to reach out.
School board members, and that is what they want.
That is on me. The budget committee asked me to reach out to someone. I didn't know any other companies that did it, so I reached out to them. So, I mean, if I knew another company, I'd have.
The way I understood it, what we're trying to do is open up where there are options. And this commission, if I understand this right, correct me if I'm wrong, we still get to say how it gets done.
Absolutely right.
We're not saying that we can, as a commission, say, no, we want a hard bid. We can per project, we can still do that.
How often do we actually do robust discussions and don't nod our head on this commission? You understand what I'm saying? The reason we tied this is because it was a bad deal before. We tied it twice, if you remember. We voted to not let them do this method twice before because they come to this commission time after time because that's their preferred method. They're not asking us just to rescind this, just give them options. They're asking us if they can bring it to this commission for this type of bid. That's what they're asking us for. And if we're putting our heads in the sand, that's fine. Let's put the commission put their heads in the sand, but that is what they're asking us to do.
But that wasn't what I thought I was voting on.
Which is why we have a hard push letter right here. Otherwise, we wouldn't have that letter right here.
Anyone else?
I'd like to say that
Mr. Bowens?
Mr. Whitlow was superintendent of school at the particular time when we did this, and he was one that had experience on been in school. And that's the reason why we went with hard bid. That's the reason why. Now things have changed, so we went another way of doing it.
I agree. Anyone else want to comment? Don't be bashful. Okay. Question just been called for. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. Thank you, commissioners, for discussion. That's the reason people watch us. I got 12 for, 6 against. I declare that resolution fails. Okay, now the chair recommends, thank you, Commissioner Hoover.
Yes, sir.
Now the chair recognizes Commissioner Couts, coming from the Highway Department.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerk. Honored guests, fellow commissioners, I'd like to present Resolution 101-821-117. It's a resolution establishing speed limits for Robertson County, Tennessee.
Okay, I need a second. Got a second by Commissioner Jackson. Any discussion?
Question.
Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. There you go. Got 18 for, none against. I declare that resolution passes. The chair, thank you, Commissioner Couts. Chair now recognizes Commissioner Hogan.
Mr. Mayor, Madam Clerk, fellow commissioners, ladies and gentlemen of the audience, I bring before you resolution number 101821118 to adopt a redistricting plan for Robeson County. If I get a second, we'll discuss.
Got a second, Commissioner Gray.
The resolution is stated like this: whereas Tennessee Code Annotated Section 51-111 requires that at least every 10 years, county legislative bodies shall meet and change the boundaries of county legislative districts or redistrict a county entirely, if necessary, to adopt the county legislative body so that the members present represents a substantially equal population. And whereas consistent with the provision of the Tennessee Code Annotated Section 5-1-111, Robeson County has prepared a redistricting plan which provides for a county legislative body composed of 24 members and which creates 12 districts to depict on official redistricting map of Robeson County prepared prudence to Tennessee Code Annotated Section 5-1-110. Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt this.
Okay, I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Want to call for question? Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. At 18 for and 0 against, I declare that resolution passes. Thank you, Commissioner Hogan. The chair now recognizes Commissioner Couts again. Surplus property.
Yes, sir. I'd like to present Resolution 101-821-119. This is a resolution to declare surplus property for the Sheriff's Department.
Okay, got a second by Commissioner Stubblefield. Question being called. If you're for this resolution, vote yes. If you're against it, vote no. At 18-4, 0 against, I declare resolution passes. Thank you, Commissioner Couch. Any old business bring before the commission? Hearing none, is any new business? Hearing none, the chair will recognize Commissioner Bowens for election of notaries. All in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? So moved. The chair will recognize Commissioner Gray to speak up for Bubba Darcy.
Okay, I make this to adjourn.
So moved. Thank you, Commissioner Gray.